An amazing secret revealed, the touching moment a mechanic lifts a sick girl to discover hidden talent. Jake had always embraced the grit of his trade, the world of grease and steel molded him into a reliable mechanic in the quiet town of Maplewood. But with every wrench turn, a feeling of insignificance gnawed at him. In a society that worshipped growth and profit as measures of worth, Jake felt misplaced. A car's value could fluctuate with a single engine fault, yet people seemed ready to discard him, just like those sidelined vehicles. His hands were calloused, worn by work, but the fragility he nurtured inside ached for connection. It was an average summer day when she strolled into his garage, her laughter cutting through the familiar sounds of clanking tools. Lily, a 10-year-old spirit untouched by the shadows of her illness, skipped towards him, clutching a sketchbook close to her chest. She rattled off tales filled with whimsy, igniting a warmth in Jake's hardened exterior. The overbearing sameness of his days faded beneath her vibrant energy. Still, in that moment, a knot twisted in his stomach. Her optimism highlighted the monotony and the compromises he had made in his own life. Could he really allow himself to get close to someone like her? As weeks passed, Lily became a fixture in his garage, her sketches revealing a raw talent that captivated him. She depicted cars spiraling into fantastical landscapes, a fusion of her dreams woven into every stroke. With each drawing, a deeper internal conflict surfaced. Jake felt the weight of assurance, sparking hope that he could guide her towards something greater than he would ever achieve. But a fear thrummed beneath the surface. What if the world he wanted to build for her crumbled beneath their shared hopes? How could he venture beyond self-preservation, risking his future for a girl who might fade into another tragic story? Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The pressure mounted as Lily's family slid further into a quagmire of bills and medical expenses. The joy of creating together morphed into a smothering fog. Jake stood at a crossroads, his ambition to open a shop flickering against the backdrop of her desperation. The temptation to seize the dream of becoming someone reputable warred against his growing affection for Lily, a bond that felt impossibly fragile. As each day passed, the weight of his commitment pinned him beneath it, staring at the future he wanted for himself, but neglecting the dreams he might nurture in her. Then came the fateful afternoon. Jake gently lifted Lily onto the car lift, revealing the inner workings of an old Cadillac's, the rhythm of engines thundering like a heartbeat. He caught her awestruck expression as she discovered machinery, as if she'd unveiled a world where illness didn't exist. The moment sparked an idea, a showcase of her creations to share with the world. But with each day, as his hopes for her shone brighter, dread loomed larger. As sickness crept closer in her life, the shadows threatened to extinguish not only her light but the dreams he struggled to protect. With the clock ticking mercilessly, Jake wrestled with a growing anguish. How far could he go for someone so precious? The gulf between saving herself and pursuing his aspirations felt impossibly vast. The delicate balance between self-interest and devotion teetered on a fragile edge. In the pit of his stomach, he could feel the tension rise within the workshop walls filled with the aroma of oil and resilience. The stakes of their bond began to feel insurmountable. And as the town buzzed with anticipation for Lily's art, he found himself floundering, questioning if he dared tread into the depths of uncertainty, or if his dreams would drown before they ever truly soared. In the days that followed, Jake oscillated between hope and despair, watching as Lily transformed before his eyes. With each brushstroke, she seemed to defy the constraints of her illness, a vibrant energy emanating from her spirit. Yet, beneath that exterior, Jake's heart wrestled with shadows of doubt. He began to question not only his ability to protect her dreams but also his capability to pursue his own aspirations. Jake discovered a hesitance within himself, a fear that sharply contrasted with the fire ignited by Lily's art. The weight of responsibility felt oppressive. They had begun to plan an exhibition of her work, something that might inspire her family to see beyond their struggles, offering them a glimpse of hope. But the fear of failure gnawed at him. What if her showcase pushed them further into inadequacy? He mulled over images of Lily's family grappling with bills and uncertainty while her art hung quietly on the wall. The dichotomy felt cruelly stark. The workshop became a sanctuary but also a battleground for Jake's conflicting desires. On one hand, he ignited the engines of his hope and ambition. On the other, he felt the strong pull of self-doubt, a visceral fear of failure lurking around every corner. One evening, as he wiped grease off his hands, he caught his reflection in the dim light. Was he brave enough to carry her dreams alongside his own? That moment lingered in his thoughts, and he resolved to confront it directly. The next morning, he downed a cup of coffee and met Lily in the garage with renewed determination. He introduced the idea of the exhibition, his voice steady despite the turmoil swirling inside. Her eyes brightened, the joy spilling over as she proposed a title for the showcase, Glimmers of Hope. As they refined their concept, working late into the night, Jake began navigating a route toward both their futures. He found himself immersed in the process, channeling his creativity and efforts to empower her vision. The act of supporting Lily's dream ignited a flicker of excitement within him. He became more than just a mechanic, he could become a mentor, guiding someone to realize their passions and aspirations. Yet, the air churned with tension as Lily's health fluctuated. Each day was a reminder of the precariousness of their intertwined lives. Her family wanted to sell the house, the bills piled higher and the laughter that once echoed in their home growing fainter. This grim reality cast a pall over Jake's efforts. He felt an urgent compulsion to act, yet each move felt laden with risk. Lifting Lily's spirits could just as easily highlight her fragility. How could he usher her toward greatness while grappling with the potential fallout of failure? Staying present, embracing the uncertain paths ahead, seemed increasingly essential. Jake became consumed with strategizing the exhibition not just as a showcase for art but as a catalyst for change in Lily's family. Then, as he buried himself in planning, a breakthrough arrived unexpectedly. While cleaning up one day, he found an old business card, a connection to an art gallery willing to promote local talent. The opportunity stood before him like an open door. Should he take this bold step for them both? The confrontation with his fears loomed large. Success brought the risk of heartbreak, and he wondered if he had the strength to lead. Like a magnet, the gallery's potential drew him in, and he felt the stirrings of resolve. It was time to face the truth. His doubts couldn't dictate their dreams any longer. But as he picked up the phone to make the call, a voice inside him hesitated. What if those dreams crumbled in the face of harsh reality? The moment of truth felt imminent, and Jake stood once more on the precipice of his fears, contemplating the depth of his commitment to Lily. Would he step into the unknown for the chance to uplift them both, or would self-preservation win out in the end? The weight of that decision hung palpably in the air, and the future stretched before him uncertain, exhilarating, and potentially fraught with peril. Whatever choice he made could irrevocably change everything. Jake's fingers trembled slightly as he held the business card, each letter staring back at him like a challenge. The contrast of his mundane reality as a mechanic clashed violently with the vibrant world of art he was courting for Lily. He could feel the walls of his self-imposed limitations pressing in, urging him to shrink back into safety. Yet, within that constriction, a sense of purpose started to rise. He put the card down, suddenly aware of the workshop around him, the sounds of tools mixed with the faint smell of oil. These elements used to bring him comfort, a rhythm to his routine, but now felt almost unbearable. It was as if the weight of responsibility had transformed his haven into a cage. The realization struck him, he was a part of something larger. The phone felt alien in his hand as he dialed the number. Each ring felt like a countdown, amplifying the tension within him. What if this move placed burdens on his shoulders he couldn't bear? His instinct screamed at him to hang up, to retreat into fears that had kept him grounded for so long. Yet, as the line finally connected, it was a woman's warm voice that broke through the clamor of his thoughts. "Hello? This is Marissa from the Greenfield Gallery," she greeted. Jake inhaled deeply, feeling the gravity of the moment. "Hi, my name is Jake Lawson," his voice cracked slightly. "I have some artwork by a young artist I'd like to discuss with you, if you're interested." The words felt foreign, yet liberating. After a brief conversation, Marissa arranged to meet to evaluate Lily's work. A rush of adrenaline surged through Jake. This was his opening, yet doubt flared within him like a wildfire. Would she recognize the genius in Lily's spirit, or would she see the shadows lurking behind her paintings? Would she view those glimmers of hope as merely fragments of an illness rather than beacons of artistry? The exhilaration of taking action wrapped around him, but there was still that nagging doubt. It felt as though he were walking a tightrope strung over a chasm, one misstep leading to despair rather than triumph. But for the first time in a long while, he felt the stirrings of possibility under his feet, empowering him to confront his fears. With an evening of planning ahead, Jake turned back to the sketches and paintings that adorned the workshop walls. Each piece whispered stories of vulnerability and resilience. Lily's artistic spirit was an unyielding force, and he realized, in those stroke-laden canvases, he was seeing a reflection of her fight and his own burgeoning determination. He focused, determined to channel every ounce of energy into this exhibition. Each frame, each brushstroke would not just be a showcase of art, but a canvas of their shared ambitions and struggles, a symbol to amplify their truths in a world shrouded in darkness. As he arranged the pieces, he vowed not to let fear dictate his choices any longer. The next morning, infused with fresh resolve, he gathered with Lily. Her energy felt different that day, more fragile, as if the uncertainties were creeping in. Yet, when Jake spoke of the gallery meeting, he watched her eyes dance with hope. "Do you think they love my work?" she asked, her voice tinged with apprehension. "Love?" Jake replied, an earnestness filling his tone. "They will see your spirit in each piece. You are the art, Lily." But even as he stoked the flames of their potential future, the reality of her health dangled like a sword overhead. The worry etched on Lily's features cut him deeply. That evening, Jake received a text from Marissa confirming their meeting. It was a lifeline, yet, the closer they got to the gallery, the more Jake felt that familiar knot of anxiety in his stomach. The stakes were rising, and he couldn't shake the feeling that everything was teetering on a precipice. His commitment felt like a double-edged sword, one that could either forge a new path or bring both of them crashing down. As they stood outside the gallery door, Jake turned to face Lily. The nervous energy crackled between them, he could feel her pulse quickening. "Whatever happens in there, remember this: no matter the outcome, we're in this together," he whispered, the resolve in his voice fierce. With a deep breath, he opened the door. Whatever lay ahead would demand everything from him: his courage, his belief in her art, and his ability to face the truth of their intertwined futures. Would the gallery reveal their dreams or shatter them entirely? The moment felt electric, and as they stepped inside, a new chapter awaited them, filled with the promise of emergence or the peril of collapse. The interior of the gallery enveloped Jake and Lily in a world of colors and textures that felt foreign yet exhilarating. The walls, adorned with vivid paintings and thought-provoking sculptures, seemed to pulse with life. In contrast, Jake felt depleted, stripped of his routine armor, faced with the reality of his burgeoning role as Lily's advocate. As they moved further inside, Jake stole glances at the pieces on display, artworks that narrated tales of pain, joy, and everything in between. They were not so different from Lily's creations, brimming with raw emotion, vibrations of spirit that spun tales of resilience. What made these artists worthy of being seen? What made their stories resonate? It was the willingness to expose one's vulnerability. And in that dark moment of self-doubt, Jake was struck by a pivotal realization: he had been denying his own vulnerability. In the corner of the gallery, Marissa stood, her demeanor calm yet professional. She came towards them, extending a hand to Jake. "You must be Jake and Lily. It's a pleasure to meet you. I'm eager to see the artworks you've brought." Her expression held genuine interest, and for a moment, Jake felt a surge of possibility. "Right this way," he replied, his voice steadying under her acceptance. He led Lily to a small section where they had chosen to showcase glimmers of hope. The paintings were hung in a way that allowed them to breathe but still fit together harmoniously, much like Jake and Lily's journey thus far. As Marissa examined each piece, Jake's heartbeat thundered in his chest, fear wavering with the hope that somehow lingered behind it. Marissa eventually turned to them, her eyebrows slightly raised. This is powerful work, Jake. There's a rawness to it that begs to be understood. Jake felt his breath catch. Did she see it? Yes, Lily added, her voice soft yet filled with conviction. It's about what I feel, the highs and lows, the moments that almost swallow you whole. The way she articulated her truth stirred something deep within Jake, admiration mingled with the weight of responsibility as she laid bare her soul. Exactly, Jake chimed in, feeling his voice grow stronger, fueled by Lily's bravery. It's not just art, it's the story of her fight. Each brushstroke captures a moment we cannot ignore. Marissa nodded, clearly intrigued. Yet, the silence stretched uncomfortably long as she contemplated their work, leaving Jake's nerves to fray at the edges. Moments later, she broke the stillness with a reflective smile. I believe this could resonate with many people, Jake. With the right curatorial support, there's potential for something truly impactful. At that moment, Jake felt the threads of his self-doubt begin to unravel. He was not merely a mechanic. He had bridged a chasm that had long kept him from expressing himself beyond the confines of his workshop. But before he could fully bask in this revelation, a stark reality gripped him: the risks involved, the ramifications. What does that entail? He asked, his voice steady but underlying uncertainty surfacing. Marissa broke it down with professional clarity, outlining all the ways Lily's work could be featured, the strategies for public engagement, the potential press coverage. Each detail brought a mixture of exhilaration and dread. Promotions involved vulnerability, the exposure of not just Lily's art but their relationship's fragility in this spotlight. Jake envisioned their shared space outside the gallery filled with whispers and judgments from outsiders. Could he bear the weight of that scrutiny? However, as he glanced at Lily, her face lit with hope, he knew he needed to fight against the wave of fear. He had to step into this new role, not just for himself or for Lily's art, but as a testament to resilience in any form. As their conversation turned towards next steps, something shifted inside Jake. Every word he spoke became more resolute, his decisions clearer. He was ready to embrace whatever came next, to embrace his identity as more than a mechanic. He was transitioning into a champion. For Lily and her art. Yet, as they concluded the conversation and exited the gallery, the lingering question of how Lily's health would affect their journey gnawed at him. Stepping out into the fading sunlight, Jake held tightly to Lily's hand. He could feel the weight of the world around them, both exhilarating and intimidating, and just as the path ahead glittered with potential, a sudden wave of dizziness washed over Lily, her expression faltering. Jake, I feel, she began, her voice trailing off. Jake's heart plummeted. Was it the pressure of all that lay ahead? The fragile hope crumbling before his eyes? He tightened his grip, aware that the next moment would demand everything from him: his strength, his support, and his very belief in the journey they were embarking on together. Just then, a sharp rustle in the bushes nearby caught his attention, snapping him back to the present. Something unexpected lurked at the edge of their new beginning, an unforeseen obstacle that could unravel everything. What would it unleash? Jake's resolve deepened. He had to confront this head-on. But what awaited him in the shadows of their promise? As Jake steadied himself, he turned toward Lily, whose expression now mirrored a mix of fear and confusion. The vulnerability he had just begun to embrace seemed to coil back into a tight knot in his chest. The creative world they had stepped into felt more daunting now, laden with uncertainties. He briefly wondered if they had ventured into something too profound for their limited skills at advocacy. Are you okay? He asked, concern gripping his voice. Lily swayed slightly, as if trying to maintain her balance against an invisible tide. I think I'm a bit overwhelmed, she managed, squeezing his hand. Pitfalls of doubt and caution began to mix with the excitement of her creations being acknowledged. Could they truly navigate this tumultuous path? What if the pressure led Lily to crumble beneath the weight of expectations? Lily closed her eyes for a moment, a mixture of determination and trepidation creasing her brow. Jake, I've poured my heart into this work, but it feels like we're on the precipice of something big, and I'm scared, she confessed, voice barely above a whisper. Jake felt an ache in his chest, a commitment to shield her from the shadows of self-doubt that threatened to descend. You've shown so much strength, Lily. Your art comes from such an honest place. We'll figure this out together. You're not alone in this. Her gaze softened, but Jake could see it the glimmer of fear mixed with absolute belief that they could cross this untested frontier. He realized this was more than facilitating an exhibition, it was about nurturing the essence of who they were becoming, pushing through layers of doubt and revealing a deeper, mutual reliance. They walked a few steps beyond the gallery, the fading sun painting the sky in strokes of orange and lavender, a fitting backdrop for this moment of turmoil. Yet, amidst the beauty, Jake felt an unpleasant tug at the back of his mind. What if he couldn't keep Lily grounded? What if she needed to step back from this momentum, for her health? The thought chilled him to the core. Let us sit down, he suggested, spotting a nearby bench. Once seated, he watched Lily's breathing steady, the initial tension in her shoulders easing slightly as she leaned against him. Lily, I think we need to talk about the future, your health, and how involved you want to be in this, he began, the practicality surfacing as he attempted to weave through the emotional landscape they found themselves in. The silence stretched between them, building both anticipation and anxiety. Her expression softened further, and an unexpected warmth flickered in her eyes. I want this, Jake. I really do. But I'm worried about how much I can handle. The stakes felt higher now. Jake didn't want to stifle her ambitions yet understood the immense responsibility of standing at the helm of someone else's passion. Could he really be the pillar she needed? There was a mix of fear and admiration swirling within him, a realization that this was not just about Lily's art but about the fervent love they shared and how it could propel them both toward growth or anxiety-laden mistakes. How do we assess the risk? Jake asked, each word weighted with urgency. He craved clarity as if laying a roadmap for safety but couldn't shake the feeling that maps couldn't show every bend or obstacle ahead. I think we'll have to take it step by step, she replied, her voice growing stronger. If it gets too much, if I feel I can't do it, I promise you, I won't hesitate to pull back. Her resolve ignited a new spark within Jake. It had always been about their connection, their commitment to explore the unknown together. A thought resonated deep in his core. They were learning, evolving, dynamically intimate and honest. But as inspiration blossomed in one heartbeat, the unsettling noise from the bushes erupted again, an unexpected clamor that sharply diverted their focus. Jake's heart raced. What if this was a signal of impending disruption? Was it a sign to rethink their intentions? Let us check it out, Lily asserted, her voice holding a newfound strength. Jake hesitated, weighing the risks of confronting the unknown lurking just beneath their immediate world. It mirrored everything, this art, their future, intertwining fears and hopes. Could they both withstand whatever unveiled itself? He stood up, ready to face whatever awaited, aware that each step carried the weight of their commitment to each other. The moment could become their turning point, or a new obstacle could arise to challenge all that they had dared to dream. Gripping Lily's hand tightly, he took a step closer to the rustling, prepared to confront whatever lay hidden in the shadows of their promise. What if their greatest revelation was in the very thing they feared? Jake and Lily approached the bushes, every rustle intensifying the electricity crackling between them. As they drew closer, an unexpected sound broke through the air, a soft whimpering, tangled with the faint echo of something heavier moving among the underbrush. What do you think it is? Lily whispered, her curiosity battling with apprehension. Jake hesitated, looking at her face shining with both fear and intrigue. This moment was more about them confronting their insecurities than merely addressing noise from the bushes. Would the unknown draw them closer or push them apart? Let us find out, he said, trying to match her courage with a facade of bravado he didn't feel. He ducked down, peering through the leaves, heart-aching at the thought of what might lay hidden. Instead of danger, the sight that greeted him was a small, scruffy dog, trapped in a mesh of branches and twigs. Its big, sorrowful eyes looked up at him, pleading for help. The unexpected tenderness washing over Jake surprised him. He hadn't anticipated that amidst the chaos of their lives, they would discover something vulnerable within the wild. It's just a dog, he announced, easing back to face Lily. Her eyes widened in realization, and the momentary dread drained from her expression. We need to help it, she said, her earlier uncertainty giving way to an overwhelming compassion. The dog's fear mirrored the turmoil Jake noticed in his own heart, a visceral connection sparking within him. This wasn't merely a rescue of a stray, it was a representation of their own fears wrestling for freedom. They both longed for guidance as they ventured uncertain paths. As Jake gently cleared away the tangled branches with Lily by his side, he felt a surge of energy merging between them. Each movement prompted a mirroring determination for one another to grow. Their shared mission had transformed the air from thick with trepidation to humming with purpose. "You've got this," Lily encouraged as Jake carefully coaxed the frightened animal from its constraints. Her voice bore an intensity that filled him with encouragement, a shift from vulnerability to empowerment. When the dog finally broke free, it bolted towards Jake, jumping up on him as though sensing an unspoken promise of safety. Jake laughed, the sound surprising even himself. It felt like a release, a moment of clarity through labor, reflection, and connection. It was a minor breakthrough, yet it resonated deeply, like gold dust caught in the light. "See?" he said to Lily, brushing his hands against his jeans. "Sometimes, it just takes a little patience and care to reveal something beautiful hiding away." Lily's smile returned, genuine and bright. "Just like you said, it's all about taking it step by step. We can tackle whatever life throws our way, as long as we face it together." The connection solidified between them, a momentary resolve against the undertow of future uncertainties. Yet, Jake's thoughts lingered on the hidden emotions erupting just beneath the surface of their lives. He could feel a shift inside, something unsettled yet yearning to break free. Was it his own fear binding him, or was it an untapped source of strength? As they stood there, the sun slipping below the horizon, Jake sensed each heartbeat echoed their shared hopes and invisible boundaries. They were beginning to define their story, one filled with tactile experiences of love, fear, growth, and newfound responsibilities. Yet just as he felt grounded in this wave of clarity, the air shifted. The day's events had unveiled more than just the simple rescue, it exposed layers of expectation lingering in the shadows of their reality. They had maneuvered through one obstacle, but the complexities of their ambitions beckoned intensely. In that instant, a realization washed over Jake. The fear they faced wasn't merely rooted in external challenges but within themselves. Would they confront their inner limitations, or withdraw into what was familiar? The echoes of doubt loomed larger, waiting to morph into something insurmountable if left unchecked. "Let us head back," he suggested to Lily, his voice steady but underlying tension simmered below the surface. They hadn't reached their destination yet, and as eagerness clashed with apprehension, Jake felt the enormity of their journey taking shape. With an unexpected twist in the air and uncertainties they had yet to decipher, they started back. Each step lay heavy with possibilities, yet posed another question: would they continue to chase the light revealed through vulnerability, or risk getting swallowed by the shadows creeping steadily at their backs? Jake and Lily made their way back through the fading light, each step resonating with the unspoken complexities they were beginning to fathom. The dog, now freed, scampered alongside them, blissfully unaware of the weight of expectations settling on Jake's shoulders. He felt the nagging voice returning, the one that whispered doubts into his mind, urging him to retreat into the safety of his usual routines. With every rustle of leaves, the anxiety coiled tighter. Why did the rush of emotion during the rescue stir such turmoil within him? He had helped a lost creature find freedom, yet here he was, tangled in his own insecurities. It was absurd, really, a mechanic turned savior of strays yet incapable of saving himself from the internal fuss of his fears. "Do you think we'll find a home for him?" Lily's voice broke through his spiraling thoughts, her face brightening at the prospect of giving the little dog a chance for a better life. A simple, yet profound complexity entered her gaze, reminding Jake of the same innocence he now ached to reclaim. "I hope so," Jake replied, allowing a soft smile to tease the corners of his mouth. Then, another troubling thought crept in. What if they didn't? What if their efforts yielded nothing? But what about us? Are we going to keep running from what's in front of us? Lily stopped, her brows knitting together in thought. "What do you mean?" He paused, letting the weight of his words settle in the air. "This what we've shared today. It feels different. It's like I finally realized what's holding me back isn't just uncertainty with what's out there, but also what's in here, he said, tapping his chest. I need to put myself out there more, to take risks. But it's unsettling, you know? Lily stepped closer, her concern mingling with curiosity. So what does that mean for you? I don't know, he admitted, frustration lacing his tone. I've always played it safe. I fix the engines, keep everything running smoothly, but I never let myself get too vulnerable. With you, I felt a connection today that opened something up. But can I afford to dive deeper into those waters knowing how easily they can turn? The space between them crackled not with anxiety, but with an invitation to explore. Jake felt a flicker of warmth. He spoke aloud what had remained hidden for too long. To confront his fears was to embrace a path he had shied away from, yet, somehow, there was clarity in the chaos. We're in this together, Jake. Whatever happens next, we can face it. You have more strength than you realize. It's okay to feel scared, Lily reassured him, her sincerity unparalleled. Maybe it's okay to take your time. Jake breathed deeply, her words settling into his consciousness like a soothing balm. But a nagging thought gnawed at him. Could he truly take his time when the unfolding path loomed before him, filled with uncertainty and untested territory? In that moment, the world shifted. A decision trembled at the edge of his consciousness. What if he were to embrace this journey as a continual process of learning? Seeking knowledge not just in fixing machinery, but in dismantling the constructs that had confined him. But as he stood there, contemplating this possibility, the dog barked joyfully, and it pulled him back into reality. A cheerful reminder that challenges presented opportunities, tiny glimpses of triumph amidst chaos. Come on, let us see if there's a place nearby we can take him, Jake said, a hint of determination juxtaposed with uncertainty edging into his voice. Yet, as they moved forward, that earlier apprehension recaptured him, a reminder that every step toward change required confrontation of what lay ahead. More than solving a problem, it would necessitate a willingness to step into discomfort to rise above personal limitations. Jake's heart raced with a combination of excitement and dread. Pearls of insight emerged from within, but so did walls built from past failures. Would he have the fortitude to dismantle them? As they entered the small town, the fading light painted shadows of both promise and fear on the freshly minted canvas of his life. What lay ahead was unpredictable, and the tension mounted in his chest as he approached the unknown. He could feel the weight of decision pressing down on him, like the last moments before a storm. The time had come to face a truth, one that danced at the fringe of awareness, urging him to lean into the discomfort of the potential transformations ahead. What would that truth reveal? Jake's heartbeat quickened as they ventured deeper into town, the noise of their footsteps echoing against the brick buildings lining the streets. The little dog pranced beside them, unburdened by worries, and for an instant, Jake yearned for that same innocence, that freedom to navigate the world without the weight of self-doubt. He glanced at Lily, whose expression was alight with hope as she considered promising options for the dog. Her enthusiasm sparked something within him, a notion that perhaps he, too, could harness that energy, can navigate his unsettling emotions and the uncertainties that lay before him. As they approached a small pet adoption agency nestled between a cafe and a bookstore, Jake suddenly felt an urge to step back, as if the mere act of crossing the threshold would shatter the delicate balance he had begun building with Lily. The fear of disappointment loomed larger than the prospect of success. Jake, wait, Lily said, sensing his hesitation, her voice soft yet firm. You're ready for this, trust me. He let out a breath he hadn't realized he was holding. What did it mean to be ready, he wondered. Did it mean diving into the crowds, exposing his vulnerabilities, or simply opening a door to possibilities? For so long, he had been defined by his roles: the reliable mechanic, the careful observer. But each step with Lily felt like a pledge to transform, to relinquish those labels that had begun to suffocate him. Inside the agency, the atmosphere shifted. It buzzed with the joyful yips of small dogs and the tantalizing aroma of coffee wafting in from the cafe. Jake watched as Lily strode confidently toward the adoption coordinator, her demeanor both free and buoyant. In contrast, he felt rooted to the floor, grappling with the fear that the newfound connection he felt might fade with exposure. "Can I help you?" the coordinator asked, her cheerful demeanor momentarily jolting him out of his introspection. "Yeah, we found this little guy, and we want to make sure he gets a good home," Lily said, gesturing toward the dog, who wagged his tail in response. As they engaged with the coordinator, Jake noted how seamlessly Lily navigated the conversation, the way she articulated their intentions without hesitation. Once again, he felt an echo of admiration for her abilities, qualities he wasn't sure he possessed. But what if he didn't need to be like Lily to succeed? He pondered this as their conversation continued. Once they'd conveyed their intentions, Jake surprised himself by asking how they could become more involved, not simply as adopters but as volunteers. The words spilled from him before he could reconsider, a spontaneous burst of courage that shifted the atmosphere. He was surprised by the relief that washed over him once he embraced that step. A seed of possibility had been planted. Through this new venture, he might uncover facets of himself hidden beneath years of conformity. As they left the agency, Jake caught Lily's eye. "I can't believe I said that," he admitted, half amazed, half terrified. She grinned, a glimmer of pride illuminating her face. "See? That wasn't so hard, was it? This is just the beginning." Jake's heart fluttered in a mix of anxiety and exhilaration. Was he really prepared to lean into this process, to explore the uncharted territories of his emotions and potential? This was more than just a commitment to the little dog, it was an invitation to engage with life itself, to confront the walls built over years of self-protection. With each passing moment, Jake felt the edges of his cautious routine fraying. Forging ahead now felt like a necessity, a demand arising from the truth that had begun to unfurl in his mind. He understood he couldn't rush the process of transformation. It was akin to tending to a garden. He'd have to nurture it patiently. Yet, as they walked back toward the car, a thought flickered through his mind, one that cast a shadow over the burgeoning hope. What if the journey uncovered more than he was prepared to face? What obstacles awaited that could tear apart the fragile new version of himself he was beginning to cultivate? Jake's heart constricted at the duality of potential, of liberating possibilities cloaked in shadows of doubt. The road ahead was laden with uncertainty and the urge to shield himself was strong. But as he glanced at the little dog romping freely in the grass, he understood what was truly at stake, a chance to discover not just who he could save, but who he could ultimately become. Would he have the resolve to keep moving, even when the path led him through uncomfortable truths? And when the time came to confront the looming specter of his past failures, would he emerge stronger, or falter beneath its weight? He could sense the storm approaching, not outside, but within. What awaited him on the other side could very well define not just his future, but the man he dared to become. As the sun dipped lower in the sky, casting a warm golden hue over the town, Jake and Lily strolled along the path back to the car. The little dog darted in every direction, his enthusiasm a reminder of the freedom that came with simply being. But as Jake walked, the reality of his resolve weighed heavily on him. Each step felt like a commitment to delve deeper into unfamiliar territories, to risk exposure. Lily's words echoed in his thoughts, "You're ready for this, trust me." Could he really trust himself? Could he uncover the potential growth lying dormant within him? The dawning realization that he was standing on the brink of change both thrilled and frightened him. It was like standing at the edge of a cliff, overlooking a vast ocean, entrancing yet perilous. Once they reached the car, Jake sat in the passenger seat, his fingers tapping nervously against his knee. Lily settled in beside him, her eyes gleaming with expectation. "So what's next?" she prompted, her voice imbued with genuine interest. Jake glanced out the window, watching the world blur by. He searched for words, grappling with the many thoughts swirling in his mind. Instead of speaking, he allowed the silence to settle, relying on it to guide his next words. He wanted to articulate the burgeoning realization forming within him, yet he felt as if he were grasping at smoke. As they pulled into a nearby parking lot, he finally spoke. "What if volunteering is just the first step? I mean, maybe there's more I'm supposed to do, more than what I've limited myself to." Lily turned to him, her expression shifting from curiosity to encouragement. "What do you mean?" Jake turned toward her, excitement seeping into his voice. "I've been a mechanic forever, you know. But in the back of my mind, I've always wanted to explore something different. Maybe working with dogs or people helping in a way that's not just technical. I want to be part of something bigger than my routine." The idea lounged in the air between them, as tangible as the dog nestled in the back seat. Jake realized he'd been sketching the outlines of a life he had never let himself paint in full. He found himself imaging what it would be like to step outside the confines of the garage, to connect with others through service instead of solitude. "Are you thinking about making a career shift?" Lily asked, though her tone implied she thought it was more than just a whimsical idea. He hesitated, weighing the implications of such a transition. It seemed daunting, pulling him out of the safety of his established identity and pushing him into an uncertain future. "I don't know, maybe it's just a fantasy," he confessed, disheartened by his own doubt. "No, don't dismiss it. Think about how much you care," she urged, her eyes unwavering. "This can be a starting point, Jake. You could get certified or take courses, and you're already volunteering. You could be helping someone while finding what you're passionate about." Her words pierced through his uncertainty like a burst of sunlight breaking through thick clouds. What if this volunteering was truly a gateway? A way to unearth the hidden layers of himself, layers that might hold the passion he had buried beneath years of practical choices? With newfound determination, Jake leaned forward, starting to hatch a plan. "Maybe I can explore dog training or counseling at the shelter. I need to see if this feeling is real, or just a result of an impulse." The thought electrified him. He could envision a path unfolding before him, one that was colorful, vibrant, and distinctly his own. The storm within him ebbed slightly, replaced with an exhilarating flicker of possibility. There were no guarantees, but the leap seemed less terrifying now, a personal challenge he craved rather than feared. Jake and Lily spent the rest of the evening discussing options, sketching out possibilities. Each tentative plan outlined slowly solidified into something enticing. As they exchanged ideas, Jake felt the protective barriers around his heart starting to crack, letting in the intoxicating breath of potential. Yet, beneath this burgeoning excitement lingered a whisper, a warning that the unfamiliar path could bring discomfort as much as it promised growth. What if the pursuit of this new direction unveiled more painful truths about himself than he was prepared to confront? By the time they wrapped up their conversation and Lily dropped him off at home, Jake couldn't shake the sense of unease mingling with hope. The crack in his routine was beginning to widen, exposing facets of himself he had long kept hidden. Standing before his front door, he took a deep breath. This was a moment laden with both danger and promise. The pressure to act collided with the fear of failure, beckoning him deeper into the unknown. Did he truly possess the grit to journey through discomfort, to strip away the armor he'd crafted over the years? As he stepped inside, he couldn't help but wonder if this was a pivotal moment or simply the beginning of a more complicated saga within himself. One that could illuminate his potential, or bring his self-doubt roaring back to life. What was he truly willing to face? And how much of himself was he prepared to reveal as he embarked on this journey toward authenticity? The answers loomed ominously, casting a shadow over his hopeful aspirations. Jake stood at the threshold of his garage, the familiar hum of machinery echoing around him, yet everything felt different. This space, once a cocoon where he sought refuge from the world, now pulsed with the energy of transformation. Today was not just another day, it marked a new beginning for both him and Lily. The past weeks had been electric. Each stroke of Lily's brush had been a beacon, illuminating paths he had never dared to tread. He thought of their first exhibition, glimmers of hope, and how that experience had swept away layers of uncertainty. The gallery had embraced Lily's artwork, showcasing not just her talent but the essence of what it meant to dream amidst adversity. As he approached his workbench, Jake's heart filled with gratitude. The vibrant energy of that day flooded back crowds, applause, the spark in Lily's eyes as she surveyed her creations proudly. He remembered Marissa's final words after the successful showcase, "You both have a gift. Don't shy away from it." Those words lingered in his mind like a guiding star. Yet, reality had been challenging too. Lily's health fluctuated, demanding attention, but it ignited a fierce resolve within him. He realized their journey was not solely about art, it was an intertwining of dreams and responsibilities. In every challenge, he found clarity, and with clarity came newfound ambition. Now, it was time to embrace the momentum of change. Jake lifted his tools, inspired to create something new not just for the cars that once flowed through his hands, but for himself. He set to work on a side project, not another repair, but something that fused the art Lily had created with his mechanics. He imagined building a mobile art installation, an art car that would travel to bring joy not just to Lily, but to others battling their own struggles. Hours turned into days as he meticulously crafted the project. It became a labor of love, a blend of metal and imagery that told their story of resilience, hope, and transformation. He felt the tension within him unravel as he worked, each clang of metal against metal serving as a meditation, a reclaiming of his craft. As Jake put the final touches on the art car, he remembered the promise he'd made to himself, to embrace the unknown, to step beyond the confines of his identity as just a mechanic. With each decision he made, it became clear that this was more than an art car, it was a statement of intent. Finally, the day arrived when the art car gleamed under the sun, an electrifying fusion of metal and vivacious color, adorned with pieces of Lily's artwork in brilliant splashes. It symbolized his journey of overcoming self-doubt and forging a path filled with purpose. The unveiling would be more than just for the town, it would be a declaration of everything they had fought for together. He envisioned it as a way to inspire others to chase their dreams, no matter how hidden they might be. With Lily beside him, Jake hosted the event, inviting the community to witness the transformation of an ordinary mechanic into an advocate for creativity and resilience. Families gathered around, drawn to the vibrant spectacle, and as he spoke, clarity surged through him. This was his moment. Standing in front of the art car, he articulated his journey, his fears, and his triumphs, intertwining his story with Lily's. In this world, we often feel invisible, but it's in the pursuit of our passions that we find visibility. Our dreams matter, he said, his voice unwavering. The applause that followed wasn't merely a response to the car, it was a celebration of authenticity, of daring to step into vulnerability. Jake had come to realize that personal achievement wasn't solely tied to recognition, it was about acknowledging every challenge faced and every growth moment embraced. As the crowd dispersed, he felt a sense of solid confidence envelop him. He was no longer the mechanic grappling with fears of insignificance, he was an architect of hope and possibility. He had conquered barriers and embraced his own vulnerability. The final achievement crystallized in his heart, a recognition not just from others but from himself. He was ready to fully dive into the unknown, pursuing not just a changed career, but a life filled with unimaginable opportunities and connections. Jake left the event glowing with satisfaction, knowing he held the keys to his own journey, a journey of resilience, of creating a life of meaning and fulfillment. The future gleamed brightly ahead, inviting him to continue exploring, growing, and inspiring others to pursue their own shimmering paths. This was his moment, a definitive resolution transformed into a promise of ongoing pursuit, a journey that would always be about growth, love, and the power of connection. Now, this is your moment too. You need to subscribe now to ensure you don't miss the next exclusive emotional stories that propel you towards personal growth. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm, because together, we can create a community of achievers. Comment your reactions and theories about this powerful conclusion, your voice matters. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see the limitless potential of becoming their best selves. Your support makes all the difference.